Welcome to the Podcast Editing and Support Show. My name is Dave. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go. We're going to start the episode right now. Happy to have you here. Let's do this. Okay, welcome back to the podcast. Glad to have you back again. My name is Dave, here to be with you and talking all things podcast editing and support. Thank you for pressing play. It means a lot to me, even though we've never really met. Thank you for deciding to press play on this episode. I hope you find something here that helps you on your journey to become a better editor, to become a better podcast supporter, or to become a better podcast host by working with a team. So you're in the right spot. If that's any of you, welcome. Glad to have you here. If that's none of you, I still want you to know you're welcome here, and I'm glad to have you pressing play. Today we're looking at beyond the ums and the ahs, how podcast editing and support offers more to podcasters than just the simple things, like removing the ums and the ahs. You can go get a tool that does that for you, click one button and you're done. But working with a podcast editor and support person gives you way more than you thought. So this is directed towards the editors listening to the show. I want you to assess the project scope of what you do, but I want you to consider your expertise and what you bring to podcast editing and support beyond the simple ums and corrections that podcasters seem to be regulated to and said, well, this is all they do, is they just take the ums and ahs out. We do way more than that. And I want to kind of help you to elevate your expertise in the eyes of a podcaster so they see exactly what you do and how you can help them beyond the ums and the ahs. We got to get past that. We do way more than that. So you're on the right show if you want to hear about more of that. So here we go. I want you as a podcaster to consider your expertise. And there's three things I want to talk about here because I think that this will help to round out when you're talking to a podcaster about what you offer as a podcast editor and support person. So the first is I want you to evaluate what your specialized skill set is as a podcast editor. This is your secret sauce. Like I said, podcast editing is more than just ums and ah removal. Basically, almost anyone can learn how to do that. And with a free software like Audacity or GarageBand, you can basically set up a business and just do ums and ahs. Now, are you going to make a lot of money at that? Probably not. And there's a potential that a tool is going to come in here and take your business away from you because that's all you do is ums and ahs. I think there's a lot more to editing than just ums and ahs. And frankly, when I listen to other podcasts about podcast editing, they focus heavily on the ums and the ahs. Again, a tool can walk in here and take your business away in a heartbeat just by doing what you do, but by doing it simply through an AI tool. So if you're building your business on ums and ahs, you might not have a business in a few years. So I want you to think about your podcast business in bigger terms. So evaluate your specialized skill set. What do you know how to do beyond the ums and the ahs? I think you need to assess your proficiency in podcast-specific tools like your audio editing. Again, beyond the ums and ahs, what else can you do with this great tool in front of you to give value to the podcaster? We talked about adding music and swipe sounds and whooshes and good fadings and good fade-ins and fade-outs and commercials. And there's a lot of different things you can do just in the audio software that you're using to support a podcaster. But what else? What about understanding completely how an RSS feed works? Now, if you don't even know what that is and you're a podcast editor, we need to talk because your lack of knowledge about an RSS feed and how a podcast goes from a recording to Apple and Spotify and Audible, if you don't know that piece, you are severely lacking in your ability to support a podcaster. So you need to spend some time understanding the business of podcasting and how everything works behind the scenes. If you're going to sell a phone at a phone store, like say an Apple store or an Android store, anywhere, a company store where they sell you phones, you can know how to turn the phone on and off and how to make a call or receive a text or get online. And if that's all you know how to do, you're not going to sell a lot of phones. But if you know what the details of it, what's in the phone and how it works and how to fix it, you can offer something better than just general surface level knowledge that Google's going to give in 10 seconds by doing a quick search. You need to be better than Google. You need to de-Google yourself by knowing how to do things that somebody can just find the answer to easily, or download a program that takes ums and ahs out automatically and they don't need you anymore. So you need to understand what an RSS feed is. If you don't know, reach out to me. I'll gladly teach you how this works. But as a podcast editor, you are severely limited by your lack of knowledge in all of the things that happen beyond podcasting. So if I asked you as an editor, how many people listen to Apple podcasts? How many people listen to Spotify? How efficient is YouTube for podcasting right now? Is YouTube Shorts better than Instagram Shorts? Is Instagram a better place to connect with an audience over Facebook? What's the advantages of Facebook over LinkedIn? If none of that stuff you don't have an answer to any of those things, you're limiting your potential to work with podcasters, because they're looking to you, again, to get beyond the ums and ahs and get to the point where you can actually support them in their podcast journey. So evaluate, what are your specialized skills? What do you know how to do? Okay? It's the difference between somebody who knows how to change the oil in a car and somebody who can rebuild an engine. A lot of podcast editors know how to change the oil in a car. A lot of podcast editors and support people have zero clue on how to rebuild a car from scratch. So which one do you want to be? Do you want to be in the masses that know a little bit about something? Or do you want to be in the limited amount of people who know a lot about one specific thing? I think you need to learn more and grow as a podcast editor and support person. Being here is a good first step, but there's so much more you can learn. So please do your research. And if you don't know where to look, reach out. I'd love to point you in the right direction. The other thing you can do around considering your expertise is quantify your experience. So what the heck does it mean to quantify your experience? Consider the number of podcasts that you've worked on and any notable successes that have come your way as a podcast editor. What do you have as a feather in your cap? You know, that thing that's like that moment when you did the thing and you helped somebody and something good happened as a result. And how many podcasts have you worked on? How many episodes have you done? So as of this recording, I'm over 2,000 episodes of my own shows alone, plus all the editing that I do for other people. So I'm getting close to 2,250 episodes-ish. So when you do something that often and for this long of time, you naturally become better at it, hopefully, just by repetition. So if you've done 3 episode recordings and 3 edits compared to somebody who's done over 2,000, obviously there's a gap. So you just need to put in more time and effort, whether that's recording your own show. And on the side note, as a podcast editor and support person, do you have your own show that talks about what you do? Because if you don't, I think you're missing an opportunity to connect with people, because now they can hear you and connect with you on a regular basis. This becomes a business card like what I'm doing for the podcast editing and support show. I'm doing this right in front of you right now. So getting out there and being active in the podcast community as a podcast editor and support person is one of the best ways to grow your business and to be seen by others. And if you don't, you're really going to have to work hard to advertise your services to get in front of the right people. By being a podcaster, it opens a door for you to get into the right audiences and into the right space where more people are going to get to know you. So you need to quantify your experience. How much experience do you have? And if you don't have a lot of experience, how can you get more? It's up to you. The next thing, and the last part of this around considering your expertise, is to identify what your unique offerings are. This is something I'm working through right now for my podcast editing and support business, is identifying who I'm for and who I'm not for. Because again, when we talk about podcasting, it's all about the niche for my friends in the US. Hi. The niche. When we don't know who our audience is and who our target is, it's really hard to hit it. So for you as an editor, as a support person, You need to identify what you're good at and who you serve, and what you're not good at and who you do not serve. So for me, video is something I don't like. Now, it's not because I'm old. It's because it's time consuming. And the return on investment for my time and what it costs to do this limits the pool of people who would ever hire me to do video editing for them, because they don't have the money to do this. And they're under the assumption that video is just audio with pictures. And it's not. It's very different. So keep that in mind. You need to determine who you are for and who you are not for. And if it's something that you're not for, either put your prices so high that you're going to make money by learning how to do this thing, and maybe it can become something you work your way into, like video, or it just prices you out of the market where you don't have to worry about those emails. Figure out who you're for and who you're not for. It's really important. And if you have a skill set that sets you apart, such as being an expert in search engine optimization, or podcast discoverability, or finding guests for the right show, or building a community, or making money with your podcast, these are all different components that any one person can't be an expert on all of these things. But if you can be an expert in one of these things or two of these things, that's going to set you apart. Because again, the person who thinks they can do everything is going to do everything okay-ish, but the person who does something really well does it very well. So if you go to the doctor in your general practitioner and you go in there to talk to your general doctor and you ask them a question about knee surgery, probably not going to be able to answer it in depth, but they're going to send you to a knee surgeon specialist, right? They're going to send you to somebody who knows exactly what's going on. That's what I'm talking about. You can be a general practitioner of podcasting and podcast editing, which is fine, but you're going to work on a general level and you're going to only make so much and you're going to have so many clients. But the moment you hyper focus on something and learn it and well and do it very well, then you can ask for more money. You can ask for better clients that are going to pay you and be there with you long term, because you're hyper focused on a specific thing in podcasting and you are the go-to person. When you're everything to everybody, you're not the go-to person for anyone. You're just a great starting point. And people are going to leave you and go to somebody who does what you do, but a little more focused and maybe a little bit better because they do it more often. Keep that in mind as you create your business. So an example of this, for you to come up, for example, and say, well, with 5 years of experience and having worked on over 30 plus podcasts with over 1,000 episodes behind me, I might value my audio editing skills at $75 an hour compared to the industry average of $50 an hour because of who I am and what I've done. That could be your advantage. So you don't have to accept the lower industry average of $50 an hour because you have put in the work to warrant charging $75 an hour. That's up to you. And it's all about the work that you've done in the background, behind the scenes, building your chops, getting better at what you do, and becoming the go-to person for whatever that is you offer. So my question to you, are you too broad? Are you like everything to everybody and nothing to no one? Or are you a specific person with a very dedicated skill set that's going to help people to grow their show, get better in podcasting, and be a success? That's going to bring you more people because you will be the person that people talk about behind your back. Are you ready to grow your business as a podcast editing and support person? Again, starting here is a good start, but there's so much more to learn. If you have any questions about your business and growing your business, starting out and getting clients, I'd love to help you. Podcasteditingandsupport.com. Thank you for listening to the show. Thanks for listening to the Podcast Editing and Support Show. Visit us at podcasteditingandsupport.com, podcasteditingandsupport.com. We would love to help you find a great podcast editor, or if you want to hire us, we would love to work with you. Podcasteditingandsupport.com. Catch you on the next episode. Take care.